guys. So I'm just getting all set up. I'm just getting Facebook going. So hi Instagram. Hi guys on Facebook. Looks like we are all set. I'm just gonna check, make sure things are working and share it to the Mama Recharged community. So I hope you guys are having a good morning so far. It's pretty cold here today. I think most of you are in Manitoba. So yep, looks like we're live. I had a bit of a slow start today. If you've been following me, you know that I love to wake up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock and have that time to myself. Okay, just let me get this going. Have that time to myself, have that cup of coffee before the kids wake, and I find it helps so much. Today, well, last night, I went to bed at like good time, and then my daughter was coughing, and I could hear her coughing, and she just kept coughing. She's just kind of getting over a cold. Both kids have had just kind of like minor colds and coughs that have lasted for quite a while. And so actually both kids, so one night my one kid, my little guy will wake up coughing, and then it wakes me up and I'm wide awake. And then last night it was my daughter. And let me know if you can hear me. If anybody is on, let me know if you can see me and hear me. I don't want to talk on here for an hour and have it not working right. So let me share this. So anyways, so my daughter was coughing, and this was, so yeah, she was coughing, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I can just, you know, I felt like I was wide awake. Maybe I'll just get up then. And then so I looked at my phone to see what the time was, and I thought it would be like 5 o'clock, maybe close to 5, and I just get up and start my day. And it was like 11:47. So I'm not sure if you guys are like me, if you wake up in the middle of the night or even early in the night sometimes, and then you just can't fall back asleep, especially if you've like started thinking about things. I find if I wake up real quick, if I don't really start thinking about things, I can fall back asleep. But she was coughing for so long, and I was like, should I go get her a glass of water, or should I just go back to sleep? And then at that point I was, I'm just going to take this in. At that point I was wide awake, and yeah, that's what I struggle with. If I'm wide awake, then I'm just awake for like a couple hours. Especially, I didn't have a snack in the evening. I don't know if this is a common mom struggle with the adrenals, cortisol, and all that. I wasn't real hungry, and I didn't have a snack in the evening, and generally it's better to like not eat something before bed. And then so when I was awake, I was hungry. And then when I'm hungry, I find I can't sleep. So if I go and have some carbs, then all of a sudden it just like brings on the serotonin, the melatonin, and I can just fall asleep. So finally, after I think I scrolled Facebook and Instagram for like 2 hours laying in bed, and then finally I thought, okay, I'm just gonna get up, have some carbs, that'll help to put me to sleep. And then I fell back asleep. Okay, so I'm sharing this to the community. I'm just gonna see if I can figure, oh yeah, looks like our audio is working. So yeah, so today then I woke up with the kids at 7:30. And another thing I find, if I can wake up without an alarm, if I can just wake up on my own, then I feel so much more rested. But if I wake up to the kids, like if I'm in the middle of a dream or something and I wake up, then it's just, you just feel tired. You guys notice this too? And just kind of like foggy a little bit. So yeah, that's one reason why I love to get to bed early and then just kind of wake up on my own early. So yeah, I'm a little bit tired today, a little bit off, but I've got some stuff I wanted to share. And I do love these Thursday mornings with a cup of coffee. It's so cold outside, so I love being inside. Feels so much more cozy. Okay, I can see myself in my computer, so I gotta get that off because that's distracting. So I'm gonna answer some questions. We don't have too many on right now. Hopefully some more will join on later. Nagash Coffee, hey guys. If you're in Niverville, I've been following you guys. If you're in Niverville, they're new to Niverville. I think you guys are local to Niverville, or I've seen your vehicle drive around, and I want to try your coffee, so I'll try it out sometime. Maybe do a review or something. So yeah, check them out on Instagram. Okay, it says we're telling your followers you're starting a live video on Instagram. Okay, so hopefully I have enough battery today. It doesn't show my battery level, so if it cuts out, switch on over to Facebook because I've got more battery on that. Yes, we are, thanks. So yeah, Nagash Coffee is in Niverville. If you guys have tried, if anybody else comes on, if you've tried it, let me know. But yeah, I'll try it out sometime. So let's get started. I had a question, Victoria, hopefully you don't mind me saying your name. I had a question this morning. I didn't have a chance to reply, so I thought I'll just answer on here. I'll message you after, I'll tag you or something. So yeah, I'll just message you after. So she had asked, and this is probably a common question, I think it was something like, my son just likes to eat the same thing every morning. We're kind of in a breakfast rut. Do you have any suggestions for more variety for breakfast? So to be honest with you, this is often a struggle with us as well, especially with my picky eater, my 6-year-old, my girl. She's really picky. It might be partly that when I was pregnant with her, this is my partial theory. When I was pregnant with her, I was eating just all refined carbs, just gluten, dairy, sugar, and that's all she wants to eat now. When I was pregnant with Easton, so Easton's Mr. Paleo. I've mentioned this before. You guys have probably heard the story before. We call him Mr. Paleo. He loves like meat and vegetables. He'll have a dish of broccoli. If you saw my Instagram stories last week, I think I asked, you want pizza for lunch? He's like, no, broccoli. So he had a full dish of broccoli. So that's kind of his style. He loves like chili and meat and vegetables, and maybe it's the guy thing versus the girl thing, I don't know. But when I was pregnant with him, that's when I had sort of transformed my health and my eating style before he was born. So when I was pregnant with him, I was eating I love just like, that was where my cravings was, just like a hearty meal, just with like meat, potatoes, vegetables, things like that. So anyways, a bit off track already. So for breakfast ideas, it can be a little bit tricky. My daughter just wants to eat peanut butter toast every day, and some days when we're busy, we just go with that. Oops, shoot. Okay, I pressed something. It took me over to Instagram, so it looks like we're still good. So yeah, anyways, it's a struggle in our house. I'm not going to pretend that we eat the perfect breakfast. My kids don't eat the perfect breakfast all the time. But some different ideas and some things that I try to implement, especially at times like this. I'm like, oh, my kids have had a cold for so long. I really need to like dial in the nutrition. I need to make that a priority again. So one thing that we love for the kids is, we call it snack platters. So snack platters, we'll have that at snack, obviously, sometimes. But we even do that for breakfast sometimes. I used to do this so much, and they love it. They love the variety. Sometimes they'll say, like, surprise me. Sometimes they'll tell me kind of things that they want. So we have different trays. You can even just do a big plate and just do a variety of things. So some ideas. My kids do have a little bit of dairy. They seem to do okay with it. They have a little bit of gluten. But some ideas with that is some, like, cashews. So any sort of nuts and seeds. So I'll do, like, a little bit of that. Maybe a little bit of cheese. Sometimes it'll be like a half a piece of toast with some peanut butter or something. Sometimes it'll be like a little bit of fruit. So usually I'll have a few different things. I'll try to, if it's a breakfast or something, then I'll try to have some sort of fruit on there, some sort of fat, like a cheese or nuts and seeds. Avocado, that's more, I guess, like a afternoon snack platter. My daughter wouldn't eat that, but some toast, so a little bit of carbs. So, or if I have any like homemade granola bars or something, I'll do a little chunk of that. So that's kind of fun, and then they get a lot more variety in it with that. You could do like an afternoon, so this is kind of getting off topic a little bit. We love the snack platter, afternoon snack, or even lunch sometimes too. In that case, you could do like veggie sticks, some guacamole if they'll eat that, even just some avocado, some nuts and seeds, things like that. Another idea is that we started doing this, I think, when my daughter was 1. My son was probably a year old as well. I love my daily smoothies, breakfast smoothies too. So my daughter especially loved it, and she was really picky, especially picky when she was young. So we would do the smoothies, and you could fit so much good food in there. Like you can fit spinach, so you can do the usual fruit. I omit the yogurt for that. It's not really needed. So I'll do fruit for sweetness, and especially berries are good for that, for the antioxidants. I'll do a bit of banana for the sweetness and the creaminess. For fat, I'll do some avocado usually, or some seeds, or even some nuts in there, or nut butter. And then for some greens for like nourishment, you can actually do frozen cauliflower, like you don't even taste it. This is kind of something different. Frozen broccoli. Spinach is kind of you guys have heard of the green smoothies with the spinach. You can do kale. Spinach, especially with kids, spinach is a really good one. where you don't really notice the taste. If it's a green color, you can tell them it's like the green monster smoothie to make it more fun. When I had Ashton, she was young, they didn't, I started using a new supplement now called Samara, and that's really good. There's a special formula Samara kids and teens. There's an adult one as well. But now we do that. When she was young, we didn't have that, so we just did the greens. But now I love adding that in, especially when we're busy like this and their diets aren't optimal. They get that extra nourishment in there, and that's a good way to start the day. So I'll do a scoop of that in there too. What else? So yeah, some sort of fruit, some sort of fat, protein. You can, I think generally, like sometimes usually I'll do a smoothie for myself and then share it with them. So I'll do a little bit of protein powder in there as well. I think most protein powders have just like quality ingredients in them. So I believe that especially if they're over like 3-4 years old, I'm sure it'd be fine. Even younger, I haven't really researched it too much, but they would have a little bit. Sometimes I do like half a scoop, so they wouldn't have a ton of protein powder in there. So that's another suggestion. So snack platters, smoothies. Another thing we love is those banana oatmeal pancakes. I share those quite a bit. Maybe I'll link some of the recipes below this in the comments afterwards. So that's it's pretty much just banana to sweetness, oats, eggs, a couple other things like baking powder, vanilla, or maybe it's baking soda, and you just blend it up, fry it up. So it's good. I try to limit the syrup that I put on there. You could add some like thawed blueberries for some more sweetness. So that's a good one. And that I like to, if I'm making that on like a Sunday, then I'll make extra, and then I'll freeze them. I'll put a little square of parchment paper in between. Otherwise, if you put them together and you freeze them, they'll just stick together. So if you put a little square of parchment or wax paper between, and I put it in a Ziploc bag, freeze it, then you can just pop one out in the morning on a busy weekday and pop it in the toaster, and it's ready to go. So that's another good one to have in the freezer, ready to go. Eggs, of course. My son likes eggs. My daughter doesn't. Little egg muffin, if they like this. A lot of kids are picky, I know, with this. Egg muffin cups is another idea. You can add in some vegetables, some cheese, some meat in there, put them in a muffin cup, and then just bake them, and those can be frozen and just microwaved as well. What's another idea? Oh, another thing we do with the kids, I personally don't do great with oatmeal myself, especially in the morning, but the kids seem to do better with it. So we'll do like instant, not really instant oatmeal. So I'll get the quick oats, and then we scoop in some, just kind of whatever, like some hemp seeds, some chia seeds, some ground flax. Sometimes I'll do like a little bit of coconut milk for some fat in there. And then I use my Keurig and just the hot water, put the kettle on, put some hot water, stir it up, add a little bit of maple syrup or honey. And usually once this is cooled, I'll add my Samurai in there as well for that extra nutrient boost. And then sometimes they'll put raisins in, a couple chocolate chips to make it more fun. And that's something they love as well, especially in the winter. So hopefully that helps give you some ideas. I know a lot of moms struggle with that. Those could be snack ideas as well. So we will move on to say hi if you guys are on. I can see that there's people on, but I can't see. Sometimes it'll show when people come on, it'll show their names. So let me know if you guys are on. So today, I didn't really have a whole lot planned, but I did have another recent question. Somebody who had just joined the membership, and she asked kind of like how I eat. Do I have cheat days? Like, she wants to eat healthier, but she's wondering, like, am I gonna have to like give up on, I'm not sure what her cheat days look like, but like maybe that's pizza, things like that. So she asked, do I have cheat days? So I'll dive into that a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about, so that kind of gave me some inspiration for this talk today. I'll talk a little bit about my personal eating style, what works for me. I know some people are a little bit different. Some people get scared by like the commitment that you have to eat a certain way and you can't have cheat days. Some people want to really dive in and do better with that. If you have cheat days, then you're just going to kind of fall off the wagon. So I'll share with you what works for me. Again, I'm a little bit all over the place today. I'm lacking sleep this morning, so I apologize for that, if you notice that. So my eating style, I made some notes here. So I'm 100% gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, and those are because of food intolerances. I've tested myself. I've done sort of an elimination diet because before, I think a lot of you guys know my story, I used to just feel like crap. Like that's the best description of it. I just kind of overall felt like crap. Tiredness was the main thing, and I hear this from so many moms, so I think a lot of you guys relate to this. So I knew that something was going on, and this is a few big things that I discovered. So number one, I cut out dairy. I noticed I did better with that, especially with my skin. The acne got a lot better. Then I cut out gluten, and this was all kind of an elimination diet. We do this in the method in January. If you guys aren't in the method or you aren't joining the method, I highly recommend, if you are just kind of feeling like crap, you try out an elimination diet on yourself. It's pretty strict. It can be tough. That's why I turned it into a program, so that it's easier. It guides you through it. We dive into different reasons why you might not be feeling good. So we kind of dive into all of it, but you can for sure do this on your own. Try out an elimination diet. I highly recommend this. So I'm 100% gluten, dairy, and egg free. And it was kind of a journey for me. I was dairy free first because I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. My daughter was colicky, so I was trying to figure out, like, through the breast milk, is there something bothering her? Then I went 100% gluten-free and dairy-free, did the full elimination diet. I didn't really figure out, so I did this elimination diet on my own. I didn't really do it real well. I didn't figure out that eggs were a problem for me until I did some testing with a naturopathic doctor. Cut eggs out probably like a year after all this, and I felt even better after cutting out eggs. So those are sort of like non-negotiables for me, those three things. My main focus is on whole foods, clean ingredients. So my focus used to be on losing weight and calories and all that. And that was years and years. So probably all through my 20s, probably for like 10, even earlier, I probably started like focusing on calories and all that when I was like 15 or 16, which is pretty sad. Maybe 16. But yeah, I really dove into that. So that was my main focus. And that focus, if you guys have that focus right now, for me personally, with that focus, it was a constant struggle. And I found that when I shifted that focus to nourishing my body, to whole foods, to not restricting calories, to like not going hungry, but just nourishing my body, when I shift that focus, things changed so much. So when I was no longer focused on the numbers on the scale, when I was no longer focused on my weight, that's when things started to change, and that's when I started to lose weight. It's kind of like a side effect, and that's what with the method. I don't want to keep coming back to the method, but that's why I don't really want to call it like a weight loss program, because that's not our focus. When you focus more on just getting healthier, then that's kind of a nice side effect. So that's personally what I noticed. So my focus is no longer on, I don't count calories. I also don't count macros. I know some people have asked about that before. Do you count macros? I don't count like calories or fat grams or macros or anything. But I just tried to, as much as possible, eat whole foods, clean ingredients. So I used to be so focused. If I was in the grocery store, I'd be so focused on the calorie count and the fat grams. Now I don't even look at that, and I recommend you guys don't worry about that as well. So focus on the ingredients list. More importantly, buy things that don't have an ingredient list. Meat, vegetables, fruit, just whole grains. I limit whole grains, but so yeah, that's been a huge shift. So with that whole foods thing, that's like an 80-20 rule I follow. So 100% gluten, dairy, and egg free, but with whole foods and all that, it's like an 80-20 thing. So especially the holiday time, if you watch my Insta stories, you see that I indulge a little bit, always gluten free, but then I'll have a little bit of sugar. I try to keep the refined sugar out of there, but I will eat, maybe I'll eat some like gluten-free crackers occasionally. But yeah, I try to limit that. So I have on here, I limit sugar, refined carbs, processed packaged foods. So that's my main focus. Another thing I should mention too is that I try to keep my focus. Right now I'm talking about all the things that I cut out, but I also find that it's best in your day to focus on the nourishing foods that you can eat instead of focusing on, I can't have this, I can't have that. So that's kind of the calorie thing too, where my mindset shift, I did the mindset shift and then things just got so much easier. So if you can focus on nourishing foods. So one example of this is, so I do a weekly meal plan. I know what I'm going to eat for that week. And then every morning, especially if I have that time to myself in the morning, I will just kind of, either in my planner or just in my head, I'll think about, okay, I'm going to try to get in a smoothie today. I'm going to have this salad or the soup, or I'm going to have the leftovers for supper, and I know what supper I'm going to have. So I focus more on what I'm going to fill my day with. Or I might say, like, I'm going to make sure that I have enough water today, or I'm going to make sure that I have like a piece of fruit with my snack, or some vegetables, raw veggies with my snack. So instead of saying, like, I can't have this, I have to avoid the donuts, I have to avoid this. So that's another big mindset shift, and it really seems to be effective. So hopefully this is helping so far. What else do I have here? Another thing I find is I try to omit the addictive foods. So you guys know for yourself what those addictive foods are for you. So I try as much as possible to omit those. And instead of just feeling deprived, I try to find sort of healthier alternatives to them. I keep getting messages that are distracting. So one example would be, so one of my most top addictive foods is sugar cookies with icing on them. So I switched to, once I went gluten-free, I got a recipe that was gluten-free sugar cookies, but it's still the refined flour. It's still, I believe that recipe still had sugar in it. So that if I make a tray of those cookies, they are so addictive. I want to eat like 5 of those cookies in a day. And if like the next day or even that evening, I know they're still there. So it's always on my mind. So if you have a food like that, try to completely get rid of it. And an alternative to that is something that is not going to have those addictive qualities to it. So for sugar cookies, I do have a paleo sugar cookie recipe that I use. And for that, I enjoy it, especially like an afternoon cup of coffee with one of those cookies. I enjoy it. It's not as delicious, which is, in some ways, it's a good thing. It's not addictive, but I still enjoy it. So I do have a little bit, that's kind of my alternative. I'll have a little bit of sweets, but I'm just do a healthier version. When you have more, when you have better quality ingredients in them, another example is, so say like a donut or a chocolate bar would have been my other addictive food. An alternative to that would be some of the homemade bars that I do, like homemade Larabar. So that I'll really enjoy too. You get the sweetness from it. If I kind of just feel like I want something sweet, especially with the afternoon coffee, I keep going back to that. I love something sweet with a cup of coffee. I'll do my Larabars instead of the donuts. So with Larabars, I enjoy it, but I don't feel like I'm not like, oh, I have Larabars in the freezer, I have to, I shouldn't eat it, but I want another one. So I can be satisfied with just one of those bars. So when you have better quality ingredients, the fiber, you don't have those refined carbs, those sugars that are going to trigger that sort of addictive, I'm not sure what the word is I'm looking for, but it is actually addictive. Some people say it triggers, what is it? I can't think of what it is. Similar to like a cocaine addict, it triggers the same thing in your brain. So still treat yourself. I've got tons of recipes. I share a lot of recipes. If you have something in particular you're looking for that's a healthier alternative, let me know. Like even chocolate brownies. So I've got black bean brownies that have avocado in them, and they're made with black beans and no flour. Things like that. I treat myself, especially this time of year, treat myself with stuff like that, but I can just have one piece of it and be fine with it and not always thinking about it. So I think a lot of you moms, I don't know, maybe I'm just assuming, but from what I've heard, a lot of us have the same struggle with, especially with sweets. So there's some tips there. Hopefully that'll help. So yeah, I try to omit those addictive foods as much as possible. So I will maybe share, what's our time looking like? I'll share a little bit about what my day looks like. If you guys are interested in any certain parts, if you want me to dive deeper into this, like if you want me to dive deeper into my morning routine with food or snacks or things like that, let me know. I could even bring you into my kitchen one day and go through a whole bunch of different breakfast recipes that I love. and talk a little bit about my morning routine, but I'll just touch on it a little bit right now. So in the morning, I try to focus a little bit more on higher fat, higher protein, and lower carbs. So I find personally with my kids, I don't worry as much about this. I try to get a little bit of protein and fat into their breakfast. But I think kids seem to do a little bit better. Adults, maybe we have a little bit more blood sugar issues, a little bit more insulin things going on. So generally we do a lot better with that. So if you have a higher protein, higher fat, then it's going to be better fuel for you to continue on in the day. If you have a dish of oatmeal, if you have cereal, if you have toast, even if it's gluten-free, you are just going to have that blood sugar spike, and then you're going to have a crash soon later. So if you notice that some people it's like the 10 o'clock crash, some people that is the after lunch crash, especially if you have a lunch that is really high carb. So higher protein, higher fat. Tim Ferriss had said that I think it's in his 4-Hour Body book, he recommends 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking. Again, I don't count macros or anything. So I just focus on like higher fat and higher protein. One thing that I've been loving, I talk about so much, I need to switch this up, but my peanut butter protein bars, I love it. It's so easy. So I get some good protein in there. Maybe it's a protein shake I'll have. I don't do eggs anymore because I've got the egg intolerance, but some eggs. You know what? Another perfect, depending on, I guess, your body, but one of the perfect breakfasts is a couple eggs, sauteed up with some greens. Or even if you can't do eggs, sometimes I'll do this too. If I'm up early, I'll have my protein bar. And then a few hours later, I want something a little bit more filling. Then I'll do whatever greens I have. I'll saute that up in a little bit of coconut oil. Then I'll add some sort of protein. So if you can do eggs, that's a perfect breakfast. Add that on there. You can do a little bit of starch. Sometimes I do good with having a bit of starch in there. So if you've got some leftover potatoes or sweet potatoes, or sometimes I'll do like a brown rice noodle, a little bit of that chopped up in there. You can skip the starchy carbs there as well, and then add some sort of protein, even if that's bacon, sausages, even some leftover chicken, eggs, things like that. Then I find that's a really good breakfast. What else? So lunch generally for me is leftovers. I don't generally spend very much time in the kitchen. So that breakfast scramble that I was just mentioning, that takes just a few minutes. I'm not cooking up bacon. I'm not cooking up chicken or anything at that point. I'll look in my fridge and see what I have left over that I can throw together. Even you can put some peppers in there too, or some other ideas. But so that's like 5 minutes. At lunch, I don't want to spend a lot of time. I'm busy throughout the day. I know you guys are as well. So I'm really only spending time in the kitchen at supper time. So for lunch, that's either leftovers, which is pretty common for me. I can eat the same thing. I can eat, a couple weeks ago, I made a pot of chili, and I think Jason was working quite a bit, so he wasn't home. So it was just me and the kids. I think I made them a little bit more variety. I had chili for like lunch and supper for like 3 days. So I don't mind leftovers. I love it when it's just ready to go. So often I'll have leftovers for lunch. Or else I'll have like a hearty salad, especially in the summertime, a fresh salad. I'll put some protein on there. I'll put some healthy fats on there, whether that's avocado, olives, olive oil, nuts and seeds. I really fill it up with not just vegetables. Make sure you add on lots of other stuff on there, lots of fat and protein, or a bowl of soup. And again, I'm not, especially on a weekday, I'm not taking time to make a pot of soup during the weekday. So on like a Saturday or Sunday, if I'm going to do a pot of soup, I do like a double or triple batch. I've got some other tips like that coming up. But I'll do like a huge batch of soup. If I make something, I don't make just like one serving of it. I make a lot of it. So this makes life a lot easier. So for soup, I'll either have it brought out from the freezer and thawed, or I'll just have the soup that I made from Sunday. It's still in the fridge, and I'll just warm that up. So those are my top lunches. So then that way I skip the sandwiches and pizzas and whatever else. and it's still easy. Suppers, I don't know if I'll dive into that too much. I show you guys every Sunday, I show you the meal plan so you get an idea. If you're in the membership, you've already got that covered. If you're not in the membership, have a look on the Sunday meal plan that I post. So I give you kind of an overview of my plan. Snacks, just checking the time. So for snacks, I mentioned a little bit with the kids' breakfast, so like the smoothies. So I'll have a lot of this stuff for snacks. So smoothies is another common snack, especially if I do a workout. I do generally like 20-minute workouts, again, because we're all busy as moms who wants to do, I used to have those videos before I was a mom that are like 45 minutes, hour long. I think P90X was one of them. And now it's just like, if I was trying to force myself to do an hour-long video, I just would never do it. I would just always put it off. So I love like a 20-minute workout, and then I love a protein smoothie after that. So it's having protein after a workout is effective. So it's kind of like my treat. Sometimes if I don't work out that day, I'll even just have a green smoothie for a snack as well. So yeah, that's another good one. Make sure you add, I don't really like when people are doing smoothies and it's fruit, you add juice. Like I never add juice to it. Yogurt that's sweetened with sugar, that is kind of like just eating candy when you have all that stuff in there. So I'll do a little bit of fruit. I try to watch that. I love a little bit of coconut milk in there, like the creamy coconut milk or avocado. And then I'll add some sort of greens or some sort of vegetables. You can do, usually it'll be like spinach is kind of the go-to. Sometimes broccoli, I already mentioned this, broccoli, cauliflower. Try it out if you think I'm crazy. You don't even notice it when you've got the other good stuff in there. Broccoli, cauliflower, I can throw in there. Sometimes some cucumber, sometimes some celery. If you have a decent blender, my blender is like a $50 Oster blender, and it still works as well. So smoothies are a good choice. Chia pudding is another idea. If you haven't tried that, I've got a recipe coming out soon. We've got a recipe ebook. I partnered up with Samara. Got some really good snack ideas in there. So chia pudding with some berries is a really good one. It's high fat, high protein. It's gonna keep you feeling full, help with weight loss. The chia seeds just kind of like, they expand. Well, you notice in a chia pudding, they kind of expand, make almost like a pudding-like consistency. It's really, really tasty too. Sometimes I'll do crackers. I try not to have crackers a lot because it's a processed food. It's generally not awesome for us. The Mary's crackers are pretty good. There's a couple different I always make sure they're gluten-free. But if I do have some crackers, that'll be along with sort of like a little platter of some raw veggies, maybe some guacamole or hummus. And then that's a nice little snack. If I'm just like guacamole and veggies is a really good snack as well. But I find I don't get too excited about that unless I have like a little bit of crackers to go with it too. And then some bars is on like a Sunday, I'll do up a batch of, generally they're like raw bars, like a Lara bar or like a peanut butter bar, something like that. That's actually in our ebook that'll be coming out soon as well. And actually the ones that are raw, I'll add in some Samara to those too. So there's some different bars. There's, what's the other one? A nut and seed bar that's really good. That one you bake. So yeah, occasionally I'll do something like that. So that's a nice snack, kind of like a treat as well. So next I'll shift to, if you guys have any questions, I feel like I'm just talking to myself here. I guess that's how, how this thing works. A little bit more I want to cover, but yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions at all, or if there's anything you want me to dive deeper into for another live. So my weekly plan, I do a lot better if I have a weekly plan. If I don't have a plan, then I find that every night, so this is mainly supper plans. Snacks, it's nice to have kind of a plan too, but my focus is mainly on the supper plans. When I go through spurts and I don't have a plan in place, then it is like I don't bring out meat from the freezer. I don't remember to do that. So it's like 4 or 5 o'clock. Let me know if you guys relate to this. 4 or 5 o'clock, and it's like, oh, what am I gonna make? I don't want to, all the meat is in like a huge frozen chunk, so that kind of sucks. And it's like, oh, I don't really know what I'm gonna make. I don't really have the ingredients I need for all these different recipes. So then you just like pick something super easy, and something that's less than healthy for you and less than healthy for the kids. So I notice a huge difference when I don't have that meal plan. So if you can get into, I find it's best to get into a habit of pick a certain day, Generally, I find that like Saturday or Sunday or even Friday, like a Friday morning or something, or Friday afternoon, or a Sunday is awesome to just get in that habit of, okay, I'm going to figure out, I'm going to kind of plan out what I'm having next week. I find generally planning out 4 to 5 meals a week is good. In our membership meal plans, some of the plans have the full 7 suppers, some of them, and usually there's leftovers in there as well, so it's not 7 new meals. But some of them are 5-day meal plans, and then it's like free days, so those you can just kind of do whatever you're feeling, whatever you need to clear out the fridge. If you've got leftovers, you can kind of make up your own thing. So I generally like, if it's a 7-day plan, I'll generally pick my 5 favorites, and I do best with that because I love leftovers. I love to keep things simple. Or if you're going out for supper one day, then, so that's what I generally recommend is 4 to 5 suppers. Plan out for that week and have the ingredients, have your shopping list and go get the ingredients for those. Makes a huge difference. Okay, my screen is a little bit fuzzy right now. Let's see if I can fix that, or maybe it's okay. So that's important. I personally will do my plan on Saturday. I'll look at my meal plan. It's already done up because I've got the membership, but I'll have a look at it on Saturday. And on Saturday, if I'm going to do the Superstore Click and Collect, I will generally order that by midnight on Saturday. So I'll generally order that on Saturday. Then Sunday, I would go do my shopping. Sometimes I'll do all this on Friday and then do my shopping on Saturday. And then if I'm going to do some prep, so sometimes I'll do some Sunday prep. Sometimes I just kind of prep as the week goes on. If you can't get in that habit of Sunday prep, I find that really helps. So it can be anywhere from doing like spending hours getting like a lot of your stuff ready for that week, or it can be as little as doing, so my sort of minimal prep that I like to do is, getting on low battery, is wash up fruits and vegetables. So this is what I used to do, and I found when I just had one kid, we'd go grocery shopping, she'd nap in the car, I'd bring her in, I'd put her down for her nap. This was kind of our routine. Worked out so good. It doesn't quite work out this well anymore, but I would bring the groceries in, I'd put them on the counter, I'd put everything else away, I'd leave out the produce, most of the produce. So right then I would fill up the sink, I'd have the clean sink, or I'd have like a big basin of water. I would add in a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of baking soda into that water. I'd dump all of my fruits and vegetables in there. So I would put my lettuce in there, kale if I had it, cucumbers, I'd unwrap it, celery I'd cut into celery stalks, throw that in there. I'd throw some of my fruit in there and let it soak for 10 minutes. And then I would get it all rinsed off, drained and rinsed, and then chop it up. So even if I just had my lettuce all chopped up in either a big bowl or something, I had veggie sticks cut up. I had some berries or whatever washed and ready to go, or maybe some cantaloupe, especially if it's in the summer, more fruits like that. Then that's huge. If you have that stuff ready, I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you've got salad ready to go in your fridge, you've got veggies ready to go, you're way more likely to eat it than if you've got a bag of carrots that need to be washed, or you've got your head of lettuce in there. Then it's like, especially if you're hungry, you're kind of craving things, then it's just not going to happen. So that's pretty huge for me. That makes a big difference. If you can do that right when you bring the groceries in, before you even put it in the fridge, if you can usually that would take, if I was quick, I could have all that done in an hour, and that would last me usually about 4 days. After about 4 days, we'd either have it eaten up or it's starting to not get real great. By the 4th day, if you've got lots of veggies in there, that's when I would do like a stir fry or something. But so that's one big Sunday meal prep that I do. Another thing that I love, especially with my kids, is to do up a healthy snack, or even like for myself too, whether that is like an almond flour muffin, like a healthier muffin with healthier ingredients, or some different bars, or I think those are the main things, either like muffins or like a healthier cookie, like a breakfast cookie. So if I can pick one every Sunday, if I can pick one recipe like that, if you want to save even more time, double that recipe so that you have it in the freezer. I just pop all that in the freezer so it stays fresh. Then you have that in the freezer for longer. And then maybe you still have leftovers next Sunday. You can do another like a bar or a muffin. And then you've got a couple different choices in the freezer. And then you start to get like a pretty good stock of healthy snacks in the freezer. So it's so easy, and I get into this rut as well with my kids getting those like sugar-filled granola bars from the grocery store, or like Goldfish. We try not to buy that too much, but stuff like that, we can get stuck in that rut of just giving them so much junk. And I know it's so easy. We're busy, we're tired, and it's just like, okay, need to keep you busy, need to find you something quick. Kids are asking for snacks every 5 minutes, at least at my house they are. So yeah, so those are the minimal things I do in our membership. If you're in the membership, you'll notice if you scroll to the bottom of the meal plan, we've got a day-by-day prep guide. So it'll say Sunday, like get your groceries, prep all of this, or you can do it on that day. And then each day it kind of says like what you should prep for the next day. Okay, both of them are low power mode. So I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon, I think. Okay, along with the weekly plan. Along with the weekly plan, I do sort of a daily plan. I kind of mentioned this. So in the morning, especially if I have that time to myself, I kind of have my schedule out. I'll take a minute to just kind of think about like what I'm going to have that day, especially if I'm really trying to dial it in. So if you guys, especially January, I know all of us are trying to do that. So maybe this will be a little trick for you. If not now, then for January. If you have sort of like a little notebook, a little planner, then just kind of write down like, okay, I want to either look at if you do have a meal plan, look at that, know what you're set to eat for that day, or write in what you're feeling like, what you have in the pantry or in the fridge. So if you want to make sure you have a smoothie that day, you want to make sure you have a salad, or you're going to eat this for snack, you're going to have that for supper. If you write that down, that's sort of setting an intention. You kind of have it in your mind what you're going to have. Then when you are busy on the road and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go through the McDonald's drive-thru, I'm just going to grab this. You're less likely to do that when you know as soon as you get home, you've got that, you're going to have this or whatever. So the daily plan as well. I'll just mention, if we still have some battery power, keep it simple tips. So if you guys follow, especially my Insta stories, I should mention this too. I share a lot in my Insta stories. I love that platform. I just noticed I'm not even drinking my coffee to warm it up. That's mom life, eh? You warm up your coffee about 5 times a day, and then you finally, until you get through that 1 cup of coffee. But anyways, I love to keep it simple. So if you guys are on Instagram, follow me on there if you're not already. I share a lot on there. So I'll post every couple days on Facebook. I kind of forget about that but I love the Insta stories. So I share a lot of like the snacks and meals I'm eating, just kind of what we're doing. So if you're interested in that, head on over there and check out the Insta stories. So, and I share a lot of keep it simple tips. So this is huge. If you want to eat healthy, if it's too much work, if it's too much of a struggle, then we're just going to kind of like fall off the wagon. So try to keep it as simple as possible. So I mentioned some of them already. So I plan 4 to 5 meals a week. If you've got 7 new suppers planned out, if we're kind of gung-ho with this in January and it's like, okay, I'm going to meal plan, a new meal every day for 7 days, you're going to get exhausted by that. And you're just going to go back to your, I don't know what it is for you, but like chicken fingers and fries, that's what it used to be for me, or ordering pizza. So plan 4 to 5 meals, eat leftovers, do some just like simple throw together meals. I share a lot of that on Insta stories. Those meals that I just look what I have in the fridge. It takes me 15 minutes at the most, throw it together. Even with picky eaters, I do a lot of meals like that, especially when my husband's gone. I don't want to spend half an hour making like a really big meal that mostly I'm going to eat. My kids are just going to pick away at. So that's a big one. Eat lots of leftovers. Another thing, if you are making like chili or like a gluten-free lasagna or anything, do a huge batch of it. It doesn't really take much extra time. It might take a little bit more time, especially a lasagna. If I do that, if I ever make lasagna, I never make just one. I'll do a huge batch of it and then I freeze it. And then it's so nice if you are tired or if you're just busy to know that you have that lasagna in the freezer. You can just pop it in the oven and it's done for you. Another thing is, if my husband's been getting Costco meat quite a bit. I don't know if I recommend that. If you have a farmer, that would be the ideal, is to like somebody that's got really good meat. Costco, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. But anyways, we'll get like the big tray of like chicken breasts or hamburger. And then I generally, so when we bring it home, when I'm going to cook it up, sometimes with hamburger, I'll do 2 frying pans and I'll cook it all up. So it probably is better if you are cooking it up, then you're eating it more fresh. But I don't know if this really matters that much. I'm more likely to eat healthier foods if I do it this way. So I'll cook up all the ground beef and let it cool, and then I'll put it in different containers, even sometimes like freezer bags, and then it's really easy. Even if you just want something for lunch, you need a little bit of ground beef with something, then you can just kind of put a little bit in a dish and warm it up. Or for a supper, like I've cooked it all up, and then I think like, okay, I want to have chili for supper. It's so easy. You just throw your cooked ground beef in with all your other ingredients, like your would it be tomato sauce or diced tomatoes or mushrooms or whatever you want to throw in there, your beans and all that, and it's ready quickly. Or like a taco salad. We do taco salads minus the tacos. We just add on lots of different toppings. And I've got a homemade taco seasoning. I'll sprinkle that on. You just warm that up with it. Or even sometimes we'll do like soft corn tortillas and then have that with it. So there's so many different meals that are just so quick. So another trick, I'll get back to that. Meat, cook up a whole bunch at a time. If you have a whole bunch of chicken breasts, bake them in the oven, put some parchment paper down, bake them at 350, have them all baked up and let them cool. I like to slice them thin, and then there's so many different dishes you can do with that. You can even throw it into a salad, into a soup. You can make a homemade soup really quick. So that's another big thing. Cook up whatever you're cooking up, do a bunch of it at once. Life is so much easier. And soup is another example too, like I said before. So make big batches. I've got here bars, any sort of snack things, because most stuff freezes really well. Make up a lot extra of it, double or triple batch. Cooked meat, soup, chili, lasagnas, things like that. You know what? I had some other things I was going to talk about. I don't know if I will go into that. I'll save that for another time. So I mentioned Insta stories. I've been sharing a lot on there. So yeah, I love that platform. If you guys want to see kind of the behind the scenes, some quick meals, things like that, follow me over there. For members, those that are in the membership, we have our next coaching call coming up on Monday morning. I'll post in the membership more about that. So watch for that. We do a once a month coaching call. We are gonna, you know what, I was gonna gather up some of my prize options. So every month in the membership, another perk. I like to make it super fun. So every month once a month we do our coaching call, and we also have one winner from the membership. Any active member, current member in the membership they don't have to enter. You guys don't have to enter. You're automatically put in the draw. And then I've got about 3 different supplement options, full-size supplements to choose from. And then that's, you get to choose, if you're the winner, you get to pick which one. So that's a lot of fun. And then what's coming up in the membership? You know what? I'll save that for Monday for our coaching call. So watch for that. Any members, if you have questions that you want me to talk about, let me know. And I think that's about it. So I'm going to post in the comments after this. I mentioned a little bit about, oh, you know what? I didn't talk about that. I was going to mention about our holiday drinks. So if you see me on Insta stories, you'll notice that I, pretty much every day I've been loving like a healthier hot chocolate or an eggnog, a vegan eggnog that doesn't have any refined sugar. I've been going crazy with these recipes. A candy cane protein shake. So I've been kind of almost overdoing it with them, but I love it so much, and it's pretty much guilt-free. There's a little bit of sweetness, but it's a holiday, so I indulge a little bit. I just make healthier options. So if you haven't grabbed that ebook yet, it's a free ebook. I'll post that in the comments. And thank you there's been a lot of people sharing there. They've been making the recipes and sharing pictures of it. So thank you for that. Continue doing that. And let me know if you guys are liking the recipes as well. So I think that's about it for today. There's probably stuff that I'm missing, but I yapped away for quite a while, so I think we'll leave it at that. And I'm doing this every Thursday at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. So if you have any ideas of stuff you want me to talk about, any questions, I love to answer them on here. I'll answer them as well personally. I can keep your name anonymous, but let me know if you have any questions, anything you want me to dive more into, or if you have recipes that you'd like me to show. Sometimes I'll bring you into my kitchen and go through different recipes and sometimes make an ebook for you or just share the recipes on there. So I'd love to know. I don't really have any ideas for the next one. So let me know what you guys want to see. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have a good day. Stay warm. Bye.